Hey guys, quick log video today. We've gotten our third boss skill book from a tier 18 boss. This is kind of why I'm feeling like Hammer of the Gods is becoming dead weight, by the way. But that's not what today's video is about. Actually, I've done some interesting limit testing of our weapon loadout. But first, I need to correct a miscommunication I made in the AOEMAXXING update. There is no CULTIST GREATHAMMER. There is no CULTIST GREATHAMMER in this build. We use Stampede for clear, which is a slam, not a strike. It does not work with that implicit. I was just referencing Carnarius' video as an inspiration. He's the one who used that item. With that out of the way, the limit testing. Actually, I've gotten a lot of questions about gear requirements for the build, about the importance of surrender, and about when to take Giant's Blood for shields in general. So, I set out to test just how much we really need. First off, here's my current normal gear set once again. I acquired most of this gear around tier 7 during my mapping progression, and slammed on a lot of the extra resists as I went. I'm actually quite overcapped on resist right now, and really need to re-gear with an endgame focus in mind. And here's my current passive tree. Both gear and tree are the same as in the AOEMAXXING video. On my stream, I decided to test how much we needed to surrender. So first, I ran with my old shield that I got for entry-level mapping at the same time as the rest of my gear. This is a tier 15 map. I don't think you need me to tell you that the surrender wouldn't be better than a rare shield if not for its recover life on block modifier. And as it turns out, we're doing just fine without the surrender, because as long as we don't play poorly, our movement will help us avoid a lot of attacks to begin with, and our new massive damage projection will clear out the field to prevent most attacks from happening in the first place. Of course, it's always nice to have a surrender for when the odd snafu swarm situation pops up, but it's not a requirement. The next step is to go to no shield. I'm using the exact same tree here with no optimizations, meaning I've got some dead shield nodes in there and more strength for a Giant's Blood that I'm not using. This is a tier 15 map. Turns out we're doing just fine without a shield, by the same logic as before. With movement and damage projection, we dramatically reduce the amount of hits we take. Of course, it would be better to have a shield. I can definitely feel I'm taking more consistent damage without one. But we can complete tier 15 maps just fine. However, a good two-hand mace can be pretty expensive, right? So the next step is to go down to dual-wielding one-hand maces. I bought these for 13 exalts and 11 exalts. This is, you guessed it, a tier 15 map. And we're still using the same unoptimized tree. With one adjustment now, I did opt to take Crushing Blow to help smooth out the clear. Our damage output is noticeably less, but we're still doing fine. It appears we can still clear tier 15 maps. Well, what's less than 2? Let's try a one-handed hammer and shield against a tier 15 map. The lower damage is palpable, but the shield helps buy some time for us to project our damage. Looks like we're still capable of clearing the map. But can we go even further beyond? Who needs shields anyways? Well, this is definitely where it starts getting sketchy. So if you plan to run a single one-handed hammer, I suggest you not exercise your right to play personal challenge mode and just run a shield. Unfortunately for me, this is indeed where I hit my limit in Breach. I was actually managing to get by in normal mapping, but in Breach, the damage just couldn't keep up with the swarms, and without a shield to fend off the ankle biters, you're dead meat. Though again, I didn't do any respecking at all. Maybe if I'd moved the totally dead two-hand and block points elsewhere, we'd be looking at a different story. Well, I think 24 exalts is a very reasonable budget for tier 15 capable weaponry. But maybe not everyone does. So let's try a realistic setup with the best 1 exalt two-handed weapon I can find. Or in this case, that I can get a response to because my first 5 picks ignored me. For your weapon, you should look for a high tooltip damage roll between physical and fire rolls. Remember, since we're Avatar of Fire, we do lose some non-fire damage on our Stampede and Hammer, so fire is a bit more valuable to us. But physical rolls are where the biggest numbers are, and physical is also totally converted for our perfect strikes and armor explosions. On a budget, getting stun build-up to help compensate for lower damage so that you can proc your explosions is definitely ideal. Many people often ask why I don't have plus to melee skills on my weapon. Plus skills is definitely a good mod, but it does risk pushing your mana consumption to uncomfortable to manage levels. And also, it's just very expensive. I can't afford it. People will also ask, how am I getting 600 strength to run Giant's Blood? I'm not. I only have 300 strength. My weapon strength requirement is only 100. If you're only just starting to run Giant's Blood, I would suggest starting small. Okay, back to our budget run. Let's cut 10 points from our passive spec to simulate a lower level character. Also, we'll cut a support socket to run a 5-link, since perfect jeweler's orbs are indeed quite expensive. Let's cut Elemental Focus. That way we can ignite again. Now, let's run a tier 15 map. Actually, what's been playing in the background this whole time is that tier 15 map. So I hope this illustrates that while you do need good gear, it does not need to be that good. These bosses have +3 difficulty, by the way. So, should we still be using shields? Yes, I think shields are a very wise idea, given the game's content is all medium core. Dying is not good in PoE 2, so you want to mitigate those losses as much as possible. I think it's also important to consider the context in which we map. Personally, I find mapping to be a rather meditative experience. I chill out and just explode my way through the maps. I don't want to have to be on edge all the time. So, having that extra buffer you get from a shield is nice to have for some relaxing mapping. Well, that's all for now, folks. If you like the idea of watching these sort of shenanigans live, by all means, feel free to drop by my stream on Twitch. It's in the description below. It appears we can clear tier 15s just fine with a 1 Exalt weapon and 80 levels of passive points. Until next time, Exiles.